Hi guys, here we go again. So Brexit-supporting politicians and Brexit-supporting media are ramping up the fear-mongering over the youth mobility scheme, a means for young people to travel to Britain to work and study for a limited amount of time. Something both the media and politicians strangely leave out is that it also allows British people the same privilege. But as we keep being told, Brexit wasn't about immigration, but sovereignty, or something like that. But now we have two Brexit supporters trying to paint the youth mobility scheme as uncontrolled migration to Britain. Of course, there was no challenging of Ben Habib because, well, the reporter wants to push the same narrative. Pretty pathetic stuff. Have a listen.
The big issue with this situation on Monday is this mobility scheme, which is a trade-off for the Defence Pact, of course. But Keir Starmer is being urged to announce a quota on the number of under 35s. And by the way, under 35s being classed as youthful makes me very happy, being a 35-year-old. I mean, to me, that's quite bizarre. But
you'd have to move it up a bit more for me.
Exactly. Yeah, with age comes wisdom. But look, there's no quota currently. So technically, as it stands, 80 million under 35 Europeans could come to the UK and be granted visas.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was Suella Braverman had said some years back that if Britain didn't control its borders, everyone in the world could cross the channel in a small boat. 8 billion people could cross the channel in a small boat and claim asylum in Britain if she didn't get her way and control the borders. And now we're hearing exactly the same thing. There's technically 80 million young people between the age of 18 and 35 in the European Union. So all of those people could come to Britain. It's a youth mobility scheme for Europe. You honestly think that all 80 million young people want to come to Britain? They don't want to go to other countries in Europe. They don't want to stay in their own country. No. They're banging at the door to get into Britain. I expected some scaremongering, but this is beyond pathetic.
If this continues in the same fashion, what's your take on this?
So let's just get one thing straight. It's being painted as a trade-off for cooperation in defence. Actually, the entire summit is about a sellout of the United Kingdom. Our vote to leave the EU has been repeatedly betrayed since the 23rd of June 2016.
This is a guy who keeps complaining about how Northern Ireland has been taken away from the rest of the United Kingdom, even though he voted for the oven-ready deal, the withdrawal agreement. This is a guy who voted for Boris Johnson's withdrawal agreement, which, of course, puts Northern Ireland in a different position, and he keeps complaining about it.
We never left the EU. One of the reasons he can now drag us back in the way...
Sorry, how do you... We never left the EU, but one of the ways Keir Starmer is going to drag us back in, that doesn't make any sense. So if the UK never left the European Union, then why are we talking about a youth mobility scheme? If the UK never left the European Union, why are we talking about dynamic alignment? This guy is always talking nonsense. Yeah, we never left the EU, but Keir Starmer wants to drag us back in. Well, how can you be dragged in if you never left?
Way that he is going to take us back in is because we never actually properly left. And the aim of this summit is to dress it up as if he's gaining some kind of defence pact with the European Union, in return for which he's going to have to give up even more rights to our fishing waters and allow freedom of movement. The reality...
The fishing industry is about as big as the lawnmower industry. And in return, the UK, well, we'll have to wait and see the details, but the rumour is the UK would be part of a defence agreement where UK military suppliers will be able to sell their hardware to European countries. Now, the defence industry is slightly bigger than the lawnmower industry, but Ben Habib only cares about fishing for some reason.
What he's going to do is give up our military, give up our borders.
Sorry, what does give up our military mean? Give up our military. This is a defence pact. This is about selling weapons to European countries. The UK isn't joining some sort of European army. Give up our military. What does it... This guy talks absolute nonsense.
give up our fish, give up our regulatory regime and take EU law on sanitary and phytosanitary regulations.
This would actually help UK businesses, or GB businesses in particular. This would reduce friction on the border. It would make it easier for UK producers to sell into the single market. But for Ben Habib, no, we want more bureaucracy. We want more friction.
And make us, at the same time, more subject to the European Court of Justice. So we'll have a foreign court making judicial, making adjudications in the United Kingdom because of...
But then if the UK never left, then you wouldn't have this problem. But Ben Habib keeps saying, no, it's good that we're out. Like, he wants a sort of North Korea of Europe. He wouldn't be impacted because he's quite rich. But other people would be impacted, of course. This is what Brexit was always about. Selling poor people immigration, telling them that the problem is all these foreigners, in order to reduce regulations for corrupt businesses and to help, the richest in society.
Of the greater regulatory alignment that he's going to, bring with the summit. The summit is a complete sellout. And for Starmer to come out earlier this week and say that he wanted to cut back on immigration, that it was critical, that GDP per capita hasn't grown, we're going to, we're going to become a nation of strangers, all that kind of language.
Just reverse.
And absolutely reverse it 48 hours later. And on Monday, he is going to do that. And what do you make of a prime minister who's prepared to take the borders of the country down? It doesn't matter that it's only to 35-year-olds. The fact is the borders are coming down, is, in your estimate, 80 million or more people.
It could be up to 150 million if Albania and places like Kosovo are included into the bloc. Yeah.
And Albanians have been busy coming across the channel in dinghies in order to ply their, more often than not, illegal trades in the United Kingdom.
My goodness. This is all they have. Scaremongering, Project Fear, a youth mobility scheme, nothing to do with immigration. And what is he talking about here? He's talking about immigration, he's talking about asylum seekers, just scaremongering. That's all they have left. It's pathetic. Youth mobility scheme is not migration. Now, unfortunately, I'm also hearing voices on the left trying to paint this as, these are going to be young people coming in and stealing British jobs. And there's no mention, of course, of British people going in the other direction. This is going to create opportunities for young British people. But we don't want that because of Brexit. We don't want that because this is immigration, when in reality it's not. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.